Alright, Melissa, let's see what you've got me into. Hello, wonderful humans of the internet, how are we? My name is Sam Scott-Thorne and I'm a vocal coach based in Glasgow. Now, if you'd like to meet and explore your voice a little more, you can find me on sstvocals.com. You can also find me on Patreon and various other social media platforms, and I'll put the handles down below and over there. Over there. There. Simple. Just very simple today. Now, if you'd like to consider becoming a patron, you have access to things like early release of reactions, you can fast track reactions, become a reaction, there's special roles on my Discord server, and you have access to all sorts of bonus content, like my Vocal Anatomy 101 series, where I talk about how the voice works. So consider becoming a patron and help shape my channel. Now, I was just talking to my pal Melissa Kelly the other day. She is also here on YouTube. She's a fantastic soul singer who has taken this journey down metal, listening to all the random suggestions you give her and just having a great time with it. And we were talking about a collab, which is definitely going to happen, by the way, so keep your eyes peeled for that. We're going to be like jumping onto each other's channels for funsies. Who the hell says funsies anymore? I do, apparently. And I was asking her, I said, Melissa, what should I be listening to in the world of metal? Like, what have I not heard that I should hear? And she said, King Diamond. So with that information, I've gone out into the world and I've looked up King Diamond and I've selected the song Halloween. I don't know whether it's one of their most popular ones. I don't know anything about them, but I do know that I love Halloween, and I'm still annoyed that I had to get an operation rather than do my Halloween week last year. So we're doing Halloween in summer. And if that bothers you, then I don't know what to tell you. So we're going to go and listen to King Diamond doing Halloween and see what we think. Don't let me down, Melissa. Don't let me down.
You all know that every single night for us up here is goddamn Halloween!
Oh, hello. Wow. Already I've heard two distinct sounds coming out of him, which is like a gruff sound and then wee kind of sound. So if that's anything to go by, his voice is going to jump here, there and everywhere, which in metal is kind of par for the course, right? But beyond that, the band look sick. I love it. Okay. Right, I was not expecting that. There is so much going on with this voice. Right, let's try and break it down into little bits. So first of all, he's very much in his head voice. This is not falsetto. Some people will tell you that high voices that's falsetto. It's not. Falsetto is where the vocal folds go out like this and they get stiff and they're open at one end. This is thin. It's just the vocal folds thinning out, but you can still get a full vibratory pattern. Now, I know that he's in head voice because he's adding vibrato to all of these sounds, and it's really, really punchy. Falsetto just doesn't have that kind of resonance. It's a very hooty kind of sound. But over and above that, he's adding texture into there, like, ah, like that kind of sound. Ah! I think that is your arytenoids coming together, and they can rattle. So that's, ah, if we were doing it down into our lower pitch. So, ah! Kind of like that. Oh, I probably sound like I'm a choked chicken or something. Is that a phrase that I'm not supposed to? Anyway, moving on. But just moving between these sounds, like, and then he's like vibbing on it, getting loads of vibrato, and then he's got a lovely clean sound as well. So there's a lot going on. Let's keep going. You can see how tight he's keeping it. Really tight in the mouth. It's just to give the sharpness to the vowel sounds. Halloween! It's very, very cool. I like it. There's a girl singing in the back as well. I cannot hear her whatsoever, so hopefully she comes through later on, but I'm not ignoring her. I just can't hear a thing she's doing. There's an interesting sound. It's almost like his voice is wanting to go through a passaggio, which is changing of like the quality from like chest to head, for example, where he'll start on it and you get this kind of shaky sound, but it might be an intentional thing to add a little bit of grit. I'm not sure. I don't know his voice very well. So, okay, this is really interesting. We're getting more resonance here because he's opening his mouth more. If you go, ah, like that, and then go, ah, you'll hear the difference coming straight through your mouth. He knows when to add in these bright sounds and then when to add in these resonant sounds. The more you open your jaw, the more kind of operatic a sound will be. It takes a lot more than just opening your jaw though. But I think he kind of knows this, so he's got these swimmy sounds and then these bright, tight sounds. And together it just makes this crazy voice. I love it. This guitar solo is insane. I've probably stopped it halfway through, so you'll all hate my guts. But the actual musicianship, muso-ness of all these players is amazing. I don't want to misage somebody, but is this like an older band? Because they're from like a bygone time. They've got like the super long, like blown out hair. And they look like they're in their 50s at least. I could be wrong though. I could be saying complete nonsense. So let me know how old are they? How old is this band and how long have they been going? Because if this guy is of an age and he's been doing this for a while, the sheer fact that he has kept his voice in this high place for such a long time is testament to how good his vocal health must be. Because your voice naturally would want to kind of slacken off, especially off the top end, but doesn't sound like it is with him. There's this kind of sound. It really comes through, especially on the Halloween, and then he lets it drop off as he goes through into that phrase. It's a really, really interesting sound because it sounds almost bubbly, but it's not coming from a place of fry. It's definitely coming from an arytenoid kind of place, possibly false fold as well to add a little bit of grit through, but inconclusive. I'd need to hear more. This guy too. I love that he's playing along with like his little bone cross thing, his little mic stand. It's so short as well. I love it. I don't know why I paused to say that. So I keep seeing this lady singing. I'm assuming that she is just matching him and they're singing in unison. And because his voice is so high set, unless she was to really belt or add a ton of twang, his voice is going to overpower her, even on like a frequency level. So no matter what I do to try and hear, I would have to really concentrate to zone him out to hear her. And it'd be doubly hard if they're singing the same thing. I don't know, either that or her mic isn't turned, like her mix isn't up. I'm not sure. But if there's really good examples of this lady singing, then let me know and I'll go and listen to it. Now this actually reminds me of something that I do with students to get them to release into their head voice. I go, ooh-wee! Like that. There's that now scream thing. He's just popping right up into his head voice. It sounds like it would be really hard to hit something that high, but there's something about just releasing that sound into the ether. Don't think of it as being like crazy high to reach. Just think of it as like shooting out your mouth. And it's not as hard as you would think, but it sounds super, super effective. Scream for Halloween! There's I think it's arytenoid, but it could be false chord too. Yeah, actually, there probably is a tiny bit of false chord in there too. Now, your false chords or false folds sit above your vocal folds, and if you let them relax and go, you'll hear them. That's that texture coming through. They're just flapping around. So it's less obvious in such an intensely high place because everything's thinning out, but you can kind of hear a little bit of that air texture sound coming through as well. So I think there's two things happening there. I really have to commend him for the amount of vibrato that he is doing. That is your thyroid cartilage tilting forward and allowing that oscillation of the vocal folds so you get that differentiation in pitch. Ah, he's doing it way up in his pitch, which is like crazy high, and he's adding in that texture and throwing some of that tilt through there as well. Now, there's opposing forces here, so if he's really going to push for that vibrato, he's likely going to lose a tiny bit of the texture. Likewise, if he pulls off of the vibrato, he'll get more texture. It's just one of the things about the voice. There's ways that things work optimally and there's ways that they don't. And he is very, very cleverly dipping between these like points of comfort. And it just gives this really interesting sound. I love it. Wow. Who gives a thumbs up at the end of a vocal like that? Well, this guy does. That was wild. Thanks, Melissa. You broke my brain. So yeah, that was King Diamond, and there is a lot to break down in this guy's voice. So if you want to hear some more of my thoughts, let me know what other songs I should be listening to by them and I'll go and check them out. But if you like that reaction, please give it a like and a thumbs up down below. And if you want to see more from me, hit subscribe, ring the bell, and anytime I have new content, you will be the first to know. So I guess all that's left for me to say is thank you so much for joining me. And how are we going to buy this one? I don't know. I do not know. So I guess all that's left for me to say is thank you so much for joining me and please subscribe! That was so bad. I'm leaving it in. Yeah, I am. Anyway, bye.